when he was at the top and he starred with so many heroines, there were so many things written about him. Now, the first one I happen to know is Nutan.
This was before he got married to my mother. They were both very young at that time. So Nutan ji was just breaking into the Indian film industry. So it was not a good move, maybe, probably.
There was, of course, Mumtaz.
I think my dad wanted somebody to look after his children. It was very clear, extremely clear. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not fair on Mumtaz to give up a career. She's worked so hard for a career.
Aditya, tell me honestly, when Shammi ji married for the second time, how did you feel?
Well, he told me this is your mother. It's very simple.
How was your equation with your father?
अरे यार 18 साल की उम्र में 17-18 साल की उम्र किसी कौन से बेटे का इक्वेशन अपने बाप के साथ में सही रहता है और अगर हर इक्वेशन सही होता था तो इक्वेशन शब्द नहीं होता था. He wanted me to do something, I wanted to do something else. So by the time I was 15-17 years old, Shammi was on some other level altogether. So for me to expect him to be like a normal father is not right. No, I missed my father very much. All my friends' father were there, but my father made it a point to be there on special occasions. But I missed his presence, obviously.
Aditya Raj Kapoor, welcome to ETimes. A big hearty welcome to you, and I must thank you first and foremost for agreeing to do this instantly, if that's the word.
Thank you very much, Wiki. It's a pleasure to be in front of you all the time. And life is to be led instantly.
Well, I quite like that, but the questions are not going to be finished in an instant. इतना बड़ा खानदान है, इतने सारे लोग हैं, इतने सारे सवाल हैं. Actually, सच पूछो तो कहाँ से शुरू करें वही समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे. लेकिन हम इसी बात से शुरू करते हैं कि what I want to really say, before you start answering me, is that if a man can, at the age of 61, travel around the globe in a bike and note down everything, observe so much, and write a book, I wonder why your name is not taken in the same breath as Milind Soman's when we laud him for his fitness.
Everybody has a different way of doing things, and I respect Milind Soman very much. I wish I was like him, actually. The way he hugs Mother Earth all the time, a very natural human being. And वो अपना काम कर रहा है, मैं अपना काम कर रहा हूँ यार, सब खुश है यहाँ पे.
This is not to undermine or discount him. I think what we have not yet thought of is the fitness of Aditya Raj Kapoor, which is now evident, of course.
Thank you. This book is actually not just a motorcycling book. ये केवल इस शहर से गया उस शहर में आया ये वो किताब भी नहीं है. This book is about all those people who put me on the saddle. It's about all those people who put me on the saddle.
Yeah.
Now, who puts you on the saddle? Not in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Over the last 60 years, who have been the people who have put me in the saddle? So that's my mother, that's my father, that's my family, that is my Guruji, मेरे दोस्त, कितने लोग होते हैं? So this book is a tribute to all of them. My grandparents, everybody has a hand in doing something.
Well, we are proud of the fact that you have written this book. But when you take the name of Guruji, the question that instantly comes to my mind is that a man who wants to break into films soon after Rishi Kapoor, and that is you, just 17 or maybe 18, and then this Guruji, if I can put it this way, tells him to take up something else, entrepreneurship, and not the film industry. How can you just give it up?
So what were my thoughts at that time? When you're 17 and 18 years old, and especially coming from this kind of a family background, where you're ready absolutely, आपने जिंदगी को दोनों हाथ से पकड़ के रखा है और एक छलांग मारो तो आप उस पार हो जाओगे, that kind of thing. और छलांग मारने के पहले ही किसी ने मेरा हाथ पकड़ लिया, दैट इज माय गुरुजी। और उन्होंने द एग्जैक्ट डायलॉग ही वुड टेल मी इज कि हर 2.5 पीढ़ी के बाद में कुछ नया काम करना चाहिए। एग्जैक्ट वर्ड्स दैट ही टोल्ड मी। It may be common sense, it may be anything, but certainly he wanted me to do something different. और ये मैंने किया, कुछ अलग काम किया। पिछले ये 40 साल का जो मेरा विंडो है, जब जवान हुआ और अब रिटायर हुआ, उसके बीच का जो 40 साल का जो विंडो रहता है हर इंसान का, उसके अंदर मैंने ऐसे ऐसे काम किए थे आई कैन नेवर इवन इन माय वाइल्डेस्ट ड्रीम्स इमेजिन। एंड गोइंग अराउंड द वर्ल्ड इम्पॉसिबल। ये तो लगता है मैं और किसी दूसरे की किताब लिख रहा हूँ।
मुझे पता है आपने ट्रक्स में भी माल चढ़ाया वगैरह, and I'm going to ask you that how did your father feel about it when he heard all that? He must have been ruffled, I'm guessing again. But before that, tell me, did Shammi Kapoor tell you, please don't go? Rishi Kapoor has made history with Bobby. We are the biggest in the film industry. What are you doing?
To be very honest, he never told me. नहीं तो हर बाप कहीं ना कहीं आपको रोकने की कोशिश करता है, उनके फायदे के लिए, हमारे फायदे के लिए, सबके फायदे के लिए, किसी का भी फायदा हो, पर कोशिश जरूर करता है। पर शम्मी जी ने, पिताजी ने कभी भी ये नहीं कहा बेटा ये मत करो, ये करो। आंखों में आंखें डाली और ही लुक्ड एट मी वेरी क्लोजली, इतना ही कहा, आर यू श्योर? मैंने कहा हाँ जी मैं तो बहुत ही श्योर हूँ, और मैं कल सवेरे उनके दफ्तर में जा रहा हूँ, और टाई पहन के अपना वो अच्छा सा एक पैंट शर्ट पहन के, नहीं तो पहले कॉलर खुला रहता था, कमीज खुली रहती थी, वो स्टाइल अंदाज अलग रहता था, बाल ऐसे बिखरे हुए होते थे। So I dressed up a little bit like a beginning of a corporate look was coming into me, and I went to that man's office. I started my career. So my dad didn't stop me. He didn't stop me. He realized उनको ये बात तो नजर आ गई कि उनकी आंखों में जो एक नूर है वो और किसी का और कहीं से आ रहा है, तो let it continue. और ये उनकी बड़ाई है, उनका बड़ापन है। मेरी मदर फादर ने किसी ने नहीं रोका।
Can I ask you at this point, Aditya, how was your equation with your father when he did not stop you?
अरे यार 18 साल की उम्र में, 17-18 साल की उम्र, किसी कौन से बेटे का इक्वेशन अपने बाप के साथ में सही रहता है? और अगर हर इक्वेशन सही होता था तो इक्वेशन शब्द नहीं होता था। ये इक्वेशन शब्द की जरूरत नहीं होती थी अगर सब चीज साधारण होती थी और एक रूप से सामान्य होती। Could it have been simple? No. He wanted me to do something. I wanted to do something else. His expectation level was something else. Life was different, absolutely. So you must understand one thing, with all fairness. Shammi was a very busy man. He became a superstar when I was 1 year old. मैं 1 साल का था, तुम सा नहीं देखा, दिल देके देखो, मैं उस समय की बात कर रहा हूँ, 1956 की बात कर, जब मैं पैदा हुआ था. And he, in the first 2-3 black and white movies, he went from jungly to some other level, and he stayed there for 10 years. He was a hero, a commercial hero, which means he commanded money and he commanded a position for 15 years of his life. Those 15 years, meaning I became, मेरी उम्र 15 साल की हो गई थी तब तक. So by the time I was 15-17 years old, Shammi was on some other level altogether. So for me to expect him to be like a normal father is not right. I'm reminded of what Elvis Presley spoke in the courtroom when he had to go to the court for some case between his wife and him. And his wife shouted at him. She said that, "Are you crazy?" So he said, "Of course, if I was not crazy, I would not be Elvis Presley." So along with show business, along with status in any business, along with so many things, there comes a paucity of time, shortage of relationship management. तो आज वो नहीं है, मैं हूं और मेरा बेटा है. कल मैं नहीं रहूंगा, मेरा बेटा रहेगा, उसका बेटा रहेगा. तो ये तो चलते रहने वाला है. It's part and parcel of life. और आप पूछते रहेंगे सवाल, मैं बताते रहूंगा.
So as you permit, Aditya, do you rue the fact that your dad was not able to give you adequate time, which is what I gather from your previous statements?
Have you seen the Indiana Jones movie with Sean Connery.
Hmm.
It's a very interesting movie.
Hmm.
उसका वहाँ एक बाप बेटे का डायलॉग मोटरसाइकिल के ऊपर है, बहुत प्यारा है. तो हैरिसन फोर्ड कहता है कि यू आर नेवर अ गुड फादर. ही सेड क्यों? मैंने तुम्हें होमवर्क करने बोला था, तुमको जल्दी सोने बोला था, तुमको दांत घसने बोला था, क्या करने बोला था? बोलता कुछ नहीं बोला था. आई एम अ गुड फादर. ये तो मैं बहुत मामूली तरीके से कह रहा हूँ. नो, आई मिस्ड माय फादर वेरी मच. All my friends' father were there, but my father made it a point to be there on special occasions. But I missed his presence, obviously.
In day-to-day life.
Obviously. In day-to-day life. My mother made up for it very handsomely. Very, very handsomely. First mother and second mother both made it up very handsomely.
We'll come back to talking about Shammi Kapoor. But tell me, what exactly are you doing now as far as the route ahead in your life is concerned? Because as far as I remember, in 2010, you came out and declared that I now want to be an actor. And now I want to get into this. You did a few films. Unfortunately, they didn't click as much as you wanted them to. Where do you stand now?
2002, I directed, between 2002 and 2011, I directed 3 movies. I acted in a couple of films and I acted in 1 television serial. This is my quota of work. I was not planning to go there, but destiny changed my hand all by itself. I was in the Middle East and I had to direct something. So I did it. I set up a television channel there. My dad was not keeping well at that time. It was the last few years of his life. So I felt a little sentimental. I said, yeah, let him see what I look like on the screen. Maybe these were some of the things in my mind. I was trying to earn money at that time. I was a businessman. So you earn money from business, you earn money from films, you earn money from anywhere. There was no passion involved as the way I was when I was 17 years old. That time there was passion. Something else. So when I saw that, okay, this is it, मैंने देख लिया, मैंने कर लिया जो करना था, जो होना था हो चुका है, I just stopped. I just withdrew and closed that shop. दुकान बंद कर दी मैंने. And I proceeded ahead. As I would say, leading a retired life, retired from the known life. What is the way forward? That's a very nice statement you said. The way forward for the next, at least, how I would say, 40 years, Wiki. At least 40 years. What am I going to do? So I become an author. I had written 5-6 scripts, actually. I'm very fond of writing since a very long time. I'm converting all of them into novels and books. So that is going to keep me going. I have a lot of hobbies. I've taken up music. I've just composed my first album. 6-8 महीने में वो भी निकालूंगा मैं. So I'm going ahead. Internet has made it very easy. See how you and me are sitting across. I had to launch my book.
Your father was perhaps one of the first computer wizards in this country.
His blessings, Dad's blessings, absolutely. And Chandra Babu Naidu, these 2 characters, they really drove the internet force with both their hands in those years.
You know, I read a very interesting statement you had made that when this whole Guruji thing was happening and you didn't venture into films, you had understood the dynamics of the industry by then. Maybe being in the film family, being in the center, people coming in from your house, people going out from your house. What exactly did you mean by the dynamics? That perhaps put you off slightly, if not
more. At that time, dynamics, you see, when you are a film guy's son, when you're Shammi ji and Geeta Bali's son, and Shammi ji at that time, Dad was a very, very commercial person at that point of time. So he had his family of producers, his family of investors, directors, friends, all hovering around him. And they all naturally expected that obviously this boy will now work with us, That's how it happens. And I was at that time working in RK Studios also. So probably I would have done something more there. So at that point, I understood the dynamics of the Indian film industry completely. Absolutely. I knew who was placed where, किसके पास जाना तो कुछ होने वाला है, किसी के पास नहीं होने वाला है. I knew the whole system at the back of my hand. I knew the first generation, second generation, the youngsters who were much younger to me, and everybody from beginning to end. Because my father was right in the middle of, in the center stage of everything. And the Kapoor family was the center stage itself. So I knew the dynamics completely. It was interesting, but when I left it not easily. It wasn't an easy separation. I never visited my uncle for 6 months. I was very scared of meeting him. I thought, oh, juta utha ke marenge mere ko. I was working with Raj Kapoor ji for Satyam Shivam Sundaram, and I was scheduled to do one more movie with him and then break out into a director, actor, something or the other. And he was very fond of me from the technical point of view, because मुझे technical का बहुत शौक, editing का बहुत शौक था, direction का बहुत शौक था. So I thought कि कम से कम तो he will at least slap me, if nothing else. That's the minimum, you know. I never visited him for 6 months. But एक डर लग गया था कि he can do anything. And then he's like a father to me.
Aditya, by the word dynamics, did you also mean that you had come to realize something about the industry, that when you're at the top, like your father was, and like your uncle also was, and even Mr. Shashi Kapoor, and of course, the times that your grandfather saw, fantastic. You had come to realize that जब आप टॉप पर हैं तो ये लोग आपके पास हैं, और जैसे ही आप थोड़ा यहाँ वहाँ होते हैं तो ये लोग आपको छोड़ के जाते हैं. वो बात शायद आपको खटक रही थी.
Let me put it like this, Wiki. What you're saying is absolutely right. I saw a lot of people who were on the top when I was younger, 10 years old, 12 years old. By the time I was 18, 19, they were somewhere else. And people who were very much down the line all of a sudden shot up. So that coming and going I saw, it's not in the business line, it's quite stable actually. You know. It was a daunting moment. That is very sure. When you see the dynamics for yourself, it is daunting.
You know, sometimes it's difficult to follow the order of questions which one has set for the interview. And because, as I said, Kapoor family is so big that you really can't have, a fixed set of questions. But suddenly it occurs to me to ask you that who, according to you, is a better actor? There is a large school of thought that Ranbir Kapoor is a better actor than Rishi Kapoor. This is what the today's generation says. However, the ones who grew up on Rishi Kapoor's films would vote for Rishi. Where does your impartial vote lie?
Ranbir has just started out here. He's just done some 10, 15 films Look at Rishi Kapoor's portfolio. It is amazing. So you can't compare. It's not fair. Let Ranbir get another 30, 40 years into his system, And then this question is to be asked, who did well? But both of them are 5 kilos of weight. So Ranbir has 10-15 pictures ki yaar, 20 pictures ki hogi. So both are very, very different. Rishi obviously has a much wider scope. He started on, wo zamana bhi alag tha. The comedy was very different at that time. Today the comedy is very subtle now. It may not be called comedy also. I don't know. So I would say Rishi is far ahead, far ahead, and largely because of the kind of work he has done. So let Ranbir catch up, and then I'm around. You can ask me this question again.
Fair enough. Let the body of work be on the on an equivalent scale. Aditya, I'm really intrigued that how did you write this book when you were traveling, as you say? How did you make the notes? I refuse to believe that you kept it in your seat of memory. How did you write this book?
I wrote a journal. I wrote a diary of where all I have been. So I planned everything very well. It took me 2 years of planning. Every single city, every single place I planned. So that map was there with me always.
So the quest had a quest.
Yeah, absolutely right. So when I came back, I opened my diary that I had written, and I joined the dots after that. You can't remember everything; it's impossible. Small experiences, so many things. But what I put into it is, somebody asked me actually. They said, "Riding a motorcycle is एक बात है. While you are riding, what were you thinking? You don't think about the ride because the ride is happening. वो तो हो रहा है. आपको न्यूयॉर्क पहुंचा तो आप पहुंच जाओगे. इतनी प्लानिंग कर ली है आपने. So I used to think a lot about my family. Why me? Why am I on the motorcycle? I'm the smallest person in my family. How come I'm on the motorcycle going all around the world? So at that time, all these small things came to my mind. The people I missed the most. So my father who helped me out in life, how did he contribute? My Guruji, how did he contribute? And most importantly, I wish to tell you is the person I missed the most actually was my mother Geeta Bali, because she died so young, and she did the same thing. She went from Amritsar all the way to Ceylon, all the way to Indonesia, all the way to Burma and back by a ship at the age of 9. 9 साल की उम्र में. She did the Indo-China route. तुम्हारे बोले कितनी खुश होते थे कि मेरे बेटे ने भी वही काम किया, but she's not there. मैं किसको कहूँ? और करीबन 5-6 साल पहले I started researching on my mother कि where was she born, क्या किया, कैसे किया. I met so many people. So I thought, let me write about her. If she is listening somewhere, she will say, चलो याद तो किया मुझे.
You know, a very offhand question, when we take down notes in our diary and open it after 1 month or 20 days and 40 days, half the time people can't read what they have written because they have scribbled, they have written it in their, jaldi jaldi mein. They've not bothered to write it as we write question papers in examinations. Did that happen with you?
That is because I'm a computer guy. I've been using a laptop and a computer from the day the computers came into India.
Okay.
जब से ये शुरू हुआ. So I would put my journal up on the blog. It was in the blog on the internet.
Oh wow.
So everybody in the world knew where I am, what am I doing in my diary. So there's nothing scribbly. I refused to take notes. मैं जब रात को रुकता था, तो every 2 nights, 3 nights, I would write my diary, let's say 2 times a week or 3 times a week. That's it. That's enough.
तो कौन कहता है कि सिमिलैरिटी सिर्फ मॉम से है, आपकी सिमिलैरिटीज डैड से भी मिलती जुलती हैं. इससे एक और सवाल आता है कि जब आप ट्रैवल कर रहे थे तो ऐसे कुछ डेज एंड नाइट्स आए जो you were not able to contact your family and they got worried. Where are you?
So I got caught in a thunderstorm and my mobile went off, the internet connection went off, and I didn't know where I was. So I was out of contact for 3 hours, 3 घंटा, in blinding rain on a small road and trucks coming from both sides. That's a very bad moment. That's the most scaring moment of this entire trip. It was nobody's fault. Kudrat se, what can you tell nature here? Nature has its own agenda.
When you took this expedition, what was the reaction of your family?
कईयों ने कहा यार बेवकूफ है लड़का है, क्या कर रहा है, बैठे रहो ना, अच्छे नाश्ता करो, लंच करो, डिनर करो और एक अमेरिका घूम के आ जाओ, खत्म हो गई बात. My mother took me seriously, my wife took me seriously. These two people took me very seriously. My wife took me completely seriously. She knew that I will do it. If I'm saying I'm doing it, I will do it. So she helped me to put it together. So there was a mixed reaction. And see, there is nobody who has done this. किसी ने किया नहीं है. ये नहीं कि कई लोगों ने साउथ ईस्ट एशिया का एक ट्रिप मारा है, कई लोगों ने अफ्रीका का ट्रिप मारा. Nobody's done anything. This is very different.
Yeah. But coming back to your dad, and when he was at the top and he starred with so many heroines, there were so many things written about him. Now there are 4 distinct women who have been marked in his life as you read and read and read. Now, the first one I happen to know from those reports is Nutan. They say that they were neighbors, they were very thick friends, and they both wanted to get married. Did Dad ever share this with you?
No. He never shared it with me, but I knew it. मुझे भी खबर थी. And this was before he got married to my mother.
Yeah.
बहुत पहले की बात थी. They were both very young at that time.
Yeah.
And Nutan ji was just breaking into the Indian film industry. So it was not a good move, maybe, probably.
Okay.
Who's the second one?
Seems you are interviewing me fine. The second one was Nadia. Nadia.
Yeah.
And she was a dancer, and he had seen her doing a cabaret in Sri Lanka. After that, he stayed on in Sri Lanka for a longer period. Love, she was just 17, and she said, "You'll have to wait for 5 years." Then she came down here, but somehow it didn't happen. Maybe the Kapoor Khandan didn't approve of it or something.
No, Nadia, I don't think that was very serious. There's nothing serious about that lady Nadia that you're talking about. And my dad was very, very young at that time. I don't think he was old enough to take a decision also.
There was, of course, Mumtaz. She told me that, she also loved him very dearly and he also loved her very dearly. But it didn't happen somehow. Shammi wanted Mumtaz to, not work after marriage.
Wiki, you know more than I do. But let me try to join the dots together. Mumtaz was just getting ready for the big step. She was 10 seconds away from the first big film with Rajesh Khanna and whoever it was, at that time. Shammi ji was beginning to arrive at the end of his hero days. Everybody cannot be on the top all the time. Brahmachari was in 1969, something around that time. I think my dad wanted somebody to look after his children. It was very clear, extremely clear. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He thought that ये मेरे बच्चे पिछले 3-4 साल से कोई माँ नहीं है इनके पास में, तो मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? He was doing his best to provide, and it's not fair on Mumtaz to give up a career. She's worked so hard for a career. So I think that is where there was the meeting of minds did not happen. Kapoor family had nothing to do with it. They bless everybody and everything. They're happy for everybody.
So keeping your mom's love story aside, and there was just one more, and that was Bina Ramani, the socialite.
I love your research. Bina Ramani was a very, very brief, very formal approach, and it didn't work out. I really don't know why, but it didn't work out. Probably for the same reasons or for some other reasons. I don't think in that time, a widower with 2 children was a very exciting proposition, at that time. Today it's very different. It's yours, mine, and ours,
Tell me the love story of what dad has told you or what mom has told you about the two of them.
I was very keen to know of the story of Geeta Bali. I'm trying to put it together. So when I got into the film industry, one fine day, I got a call from Mr. Devanand's office saying, can I come and meet him? So I went and met him. And, he's such a big man. So every 10-15 years, I would meet him for some reason or the other. I don't remember what the reason was, a sheer coincidence. I had nothing to do with him, So I went to meet Devanandji and he asked me, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. Picture में काम करते हो? मैंने बोला हाँ जी थोड़ा बहुत कर रहा हूँ. तो क्या करते हो? मैंने बोला I'm a writer basically, so I can put together a script for you. So I put a script for him, I put the finance for him, I put everything for him together. So he says, you want to ask me anything? I said, I want to ask you about my mother. That's the real reason I am here. So he threw out everybody from the room. कमरे में से सबको बाहर निकाल दिया. Only Sunil and me were there. And he said, when people came to see the movie Bazi, they didn't come to see Devanand, they came to see Geeta Bali. Let me tell you, that is what your mother was. And for Devanand to say that is a very big thing, yeah. Very, very, very big thing. He said they came to see her, they didn't come to see me. Let me tell you that. And of course, he gave me a compliment that my nose is like her. So I felt very nice, somebody tells you that. You miss your mother, at all ages. But your father, he was a rascal. I said, what? He used to come to my shooting and disturb me because he wanted to take Geeta out. He was a rascal, that guy. मुझे इतनी हंसी आई, laughed and laughed and laughed. And so like this, I would put together things, and a lot of mom and dad stories are already in the public domain of how they got married. It's already there. They were madly and passionately in love with each other. And let me tell you one, this is something dad has told me, is that the person who has made him a success is none other than Geeta Bali. It is not his producers and directors who they had a big role in it. Everybody contributed. But the person who picked him up, जैसे किसी को गला पकड़ के उठाते हो, was mommy. She gave him his style. She gave him his personality. He had such an antiseptic look at that time, She really told him, go and get them, yaar. Ki kar rahe ho? Pathan bande ho, like go ahead, yaar, This one movie that mommy did called Jab Se Tumhe Dekha Hai. It's a very small movie made by Surinder Kapoor. In that, there is a music piece of mom dancing on the English tune Tequila. It's a very picnic kind of song, and Pradeep Kumar is looking like that to see. Very typical. You see that song, and you will think it is Shammi Kapoor dancing. It is not. It is actually Geeta Bali dancing, and what Shammi ji danced was like Geeta Bali.
Oh. So a lot of Geeta Bali started rubbing on him.
Yes, because she was very vivacious. She's a very vivacious person. You see her movies with, you see Bhagwan Dada's movies, you see Devanand's ke saath mein jo picture ki hai. Well, she died very young. She had very little portfolio to present people, but whatever portfolio she had, you see her, she was a very vivacious person, and the personality was so strong, So that she injected into Shammiji by force, and she put him into the driver's seat.
Tell me, Aditya, when she passed away, must have been a terrible moment, of course, for you and for Kanchan, your sister. Who looked after you in that time?
So we had, very immediately, it was my aunt, Mrs. Raj Kapoor, Krishna auntie, who we fondly called Baji. She looked after us. So she was responsible for everything for us. And we stayed in her house for quite some time until our system came back, So dad was very busy. He stopped working. Father, Shammiji, stopped working for 6 months. If you are aware, there was a set of Tisri Manzil going on at that time at RK Studio. So Nasir Hussain said, nobody can touch the set until Shammi Kapoor comes back because they are good friends, So the set was lying there for 4 to 5 months, and Nasir Saab and Goldie would come to Chembur. My father was staying there with Raj Saab because my aunt didn't let him go anywhere. She said, no, you're going to stay with me until you get your sanity back. Because that poor man, he was lost absolutely without Geeta ji. So they would come to see how he is. And then when he got his system back, then the shooting resumed. For us, Krishna auntie took care of us. Of course, I went to a boarding school at that time. My sister stayed there in Chembur with Krishna auntie. And slowly our lives came back to normal. But we had foster mothers like maids and ayahs and all taking care of us, There was a system in place.
But, when I hear things like the set ko वहाँ बांध के रखा जब तक शमी जी वापस नहीं आते हैं, that kind of unity which I often hear in those days between actors and producers, between actors and directors. You are a part of the film industry. You are also seeing the younger generation in your family grow up. Do you see a marked difference in the intra relations of today in contrast to yesteryears?
I'll tell you something. I understand what you're saying. At that time, there was nothing written. लिखा हुआ कम था. And the voice of man was very, very, very secure. Like, अगर आपने एक चीज बोली है, so people would stick to it. Like, friendship was of great, great meaning. Today, it's much more commercial because so many other people are involved. The corporate is involved, and banks are involved, and so many things are involved. I don't think you can afford that kind of a leniency in the system. But in my father's time, when he was in Kashmir for shooting, if he threw a party, then even the houseboatman came. जो शिकारा वाला था, वो भी party में आता था. Why? Because Shammi ji is throwing a party. It's a big deal. We went to Kashmir after dad died. After father died, we took his ashes there. And the Lalit group of hotels, Lalit Suri group of hotels, the chairman is a school friend of mine. She's a school friend, Josna ji. So she said that I would like to plant a tree in her property in the name of Shammi Kapoor. It's just like a little memento, So we went there. My mother, sister, me, all of us went there as a big group. Asha Parekh and some film people, Poonam, Dylan. You will not believe the Shikara people and the old drivers, पुराने drivers, उनके बच्चे सवेरे 4 बजे से इंतजार कर रहे थे ये टोली कब एयरपोर्ट से आने वाली है. Then we took about 40-50 Shikaras and went for a Shikara ride. All were singing Shammi ji's songs. So that man was like this, बड़ा हाथ खुला था उनका. And that made him very friendly with his producer setup. They all trusted each other completely, from beginning to end. We look at Tisri Manzil. Devanand was supposed to do it. And Devanand said, no, I will not do this, I will do Jewel Thief. Goldie was the director of both. So, Nasir Saab agreed on Shammi ji because Nasir ji's first film was and Shammi ji, they were together. Afterwards, Nasir Hussain and Shammi ji became the best of friends. They're very close to each other. So it's a very weird thing, basically. And it's very interesting to see the way the things come about. But yes, in those times, if somebody said, ये होने वाला तो वो होके रहता था. Today there are a lot of other loopholes and so many other things happening. May it not happen, may happen, who knows.
Aditya, tell me honestly, when Shammi ji married for a second time, how did you feel?
Well,
and how did he break the news to you?
I was 13 years old. And I had just come from my holidays, my winter holidays. And well, he told me, this is your mother. It's very simple. And he got married in the morning. And we were kept in our aunt's house at that time. Because probably we couldn't understand what the ceremony is like. तो कभी डर लग जाता है, कुछ भी होता है. So in the
you didn't know that he's getting
we were told.
You didn't know that he's getting married?
No. We didn't know. And we came in the evening. And Dad said, this is your mother. I was very happy. I went and hugged her. I was very happy. I said, माँ मिल गई यार, कमाल है. There's somebody here, There's somebody here responsible. So I was very happy, and that's it. Life just continued. And by the grace of God, I'm telling you some blessings from Geeta ji and from so many people, that my second mother is such a brilliant lady, such a compassionate lady. She chose to not have her own children, which is the big thing at that time.
It's a huge sacrifice.
A huge sacrifice. And to look after one crazy guy called Shammi Kapoor and his 2 children, it's not a small thing. It's a big thing,
But from what I know, that Kanchan took a little bit of time in adjusting to Neela Devi's presence.
She was very young. Yeah. Come on. She was 5 years old when she lost her mother. And 5 years later, she got another mother. उनको समझ क्या आने वाला है? She will not even know what it means, you know. So when you're 13, 14 years old, you're in the beginning of being a teenager. You understand the new dynamics of what is going to happen. You know? So I don't blame her here. It took her 1 or 2 years to understand, and now they grew up to love each other.
The studio, Rishi Kapoor's death, Rajiv Kapoor's death, Krishna ji, and Prima ji.
Shashi ji and Ritu also. Ritu Nanda. Yeah. It's life. That's the way life is, Wiki. That's the way it goes. Look, all human beings have to die. That is 100% there. We miss them. I'll tell you something. At least actors have got that one advantage of having their memories in the silver screen. So you want to meet your dad, go to YouTube and see him again, you know. But it's sad. It's sad. It's very sad. Rajiv is such a talented person, hugely talented, and he was just starting some project of his own, you know. Rishi was ready to do 10 projects like that, you know. I mean, so it's very sad. Krishna auntie lived to a ripe old age, and she was, you know, she did her best. Things like it's a little sad. RK Studio winding up. It's their decision. It's their personal decision. They may feel that yaar kaun sambhalega, kya karega. So instead of getting into a problem, it is better to address the problem now, which I think is very, very practical, extremely practical.
Yeah.
Extremely practical.
Yeah. Sell it off, divide the thing so that there are no quarrels later.
Yeah. And do something else in life here. Do something else. If you want to remember your father, कुछ और काम करो, किताब लिखो, या एक स्टैचू बनाओ, या डोनेशन करो.
यार मुझे बताओ ऐसी कौन सी किताब है जो आपको बहुत जल्द लिखनी है, क्योंकि there seems to be a big writer in you, and I think you want to write some book very soon, some explosive book.
Who? Me? My next book is ready for release. It's a novel. It's called Born Upon the Land. It's a fiction novel, but I firmly believe that fiction is fact and denial. So it's left for our next interview, Wiki. It's a lot like Godan, Munshi Premchand Joshi. I adore that man. He's one of my mentors, actually. So I written this book about 2 years ago. I'm only refreshing it a little bit now, because now COVID has come, so you have to make it slightly more topical, like, you know. It's about the life of people in a village. हर इंसान सोचता है कि मैं गांव छोड़ के चले जाऊं. अरे कैसे जाओगे यार? There's so much of tradition that keeps you there. So the book is called Born Upon the Land, and that's my next book.
I asked you the question between Rishi and Ranbir, but if I ask you the question between Raj ji, Shammi ji, and Shashi ji, who was the better of the three? I know all three are excellent, and it's a difficult question, but if I insist that you put your hand on one,
the handsomest person is Mr. Shashi Kapoor. Handsomest person. You will not believe me. We were shooting for Satyam Shivam Sundaram, and we were shooting that song, title song. And Shashi ji is supposed to look in the sun, you know. But he's early morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he's listening to Zinat Aman singing from there. And he was looking so handsome. Everybody forgot to say, stop, cut the camera, you know. No, nobody. They just kept looking at him. You're looking so good. And Raj uncle went and hugged him. They started crying then. You're looking so handsome, just so handsome. He was looking like Aditya Raj Kapoor, actually. You see old movies like Sikandar and all these movies. So, in handsomeness, nobody can touch Shashi Kapoor. I would put Shammi ji as a dad, as a rom-com based personality. He was never very keen to start his own company or start his own production was not very keen to direct films also. If he did it only because he wanted to try it as something new. He wanted to act and continue acting. He was very happy with that. Extremely happy with music and being a pleasing personality, So that is where his scope began and ended. Raj Kapoor ji started as an actor and became a producer and a director after that. So his scope was very, very different. To compare them like that is very, very impossible. Raj Kapoor ji did fewer films as an actor and remarkable films as a director. Shammi ji did no work as a director except those 2-3 movies that he made like that. And so also Shashi ji. So it's very difficult to put a stop there. But they all had their own markets, their own areas of excellence.
Come on, choose one of them as the best actor. There is sufficient film for you to decide that.
No, it isn't so. But I am biased always towards Shashi Kapoor. I think he's damn good here. He's very unassuming, man. You see his English movies, his black and white movies, Householder, Shakespeare Wala, those kind of things. Very unassuming person. So I used to like that about him a lot. Those movies were not very dynamic, so as to say. Jumping from a cliff या helicopter में जाके गाना गाओ ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. So I like that very much about him. Very unassuming acting personality actually. Of course he had his Sharmili and all that वो सब भी था. But I like Shashankar's brand of acting very much, very much. So I selected one.
So Aditya, thank you so much for this extremely frank interview. You didn't flinch an eyebrow. You didn't get angry. You didn't put a set of conditions before the interview that don't ask me this, don't ask me that. People do that. And I must thank you once again, therefore, for being so generous and so honest in all your replies. A big, big thanks from the entire team of ETimes.
Thank you very much, Wiki. It's been a pleasure talking to you and seeing you after a long, long time. And I really admire you as a journalist. I've been admiring the right person, actually. I really wish you all the very best, my friend. I really wish you all the very best. Good luck and good health.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you so much.